Welcome and let your journey to soul expansion begin. I'm your host, Kristen Kaczynski. This show will take you on a journey of expansion, encouraging you to release the limitations of your mind and lean into the wisdom of your soul. Remembering who you are on a soul level will help you release your conditioning, expectations, limiting beliefs, fears, and worries, and evoke a life expanded by your energetic alignment. Whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to grow your income and impact, or someone who knows in your heart of hearts that you're made for more, this podcast will help you awaken the power that's already inside of you, allowing you to attract an easy flow of money, clients, opportunities, and fulfillment. In each episode, you'll learn something new, expand your consciousness, and you'll walk away with a glimpse of what's truly possible for you. If you're ready to follow your soul's calling and live a more expansive life, you're in the right place. Welcome, and let your journey to soul expansion begin. Welcome back to the Soul Expansion Podcast. I'm Kristen Kaczynski. I am so grateful that you're here. And I specifically waited to record this episode on attracting and receiving until I felt like I was shifted to this place of feeling attractive and feeling open to receive. And that really is the bulk of what is so challenging when we think about manifestation, when we think about calling in soulmate clients, when we think about growing our businesses to the next level, breaking through income ceilings. It's the layers and layers and all of the parts of us that don't feel worthy of attracting what we desire in some way, shape, or form, consciously or unconsciously. And the parts of us that are not open to receive, or that feel like they have to overgive, or they have to do to receive, or they have to do more. And the parts of us that are not able to let go of control, that feel like if we release control, if we let things flow, if we truly deeply trust ourselves and trust something bigger than us, whatever your higher power is that you identify with, that we will be supported. And so I have moments, even though I've been doing this work for over a year now, I have moments where things get out of alignment. I don't feel as open. I don't feel as surrendered. And sometimes I have moments where I'm like, I am surrendering, but I'm not really surrendering. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. And sometimes I have moments where I'm doing the healing work, I'm working on myself, but the intention behind it, because the system is so intelligent, the intention behind it is to, get the next milestone that I desire, which then is still coming from this place of control, is still coming from this place of not being fully open and surrendered, but feeling like I have to do the healing work in order to receive. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, we're going to go deeper into all of these topics on this episode. But today is all about attracting and receiving money. And if there's anything I want you to get out of this episode, if you only have a couple minutes to listen today, it's this. You will attract and receive when you feel attractive and when you feel open. You will attract and receive when you feel worthy, when you trust the divine timing, the divine intelligence, and when you follow your heart. You can also receive when you don't really feel good. That's important to know. I think sometimes we get messages in the spiritual community where it's like, oh, you need to be positive vibes only all the time, day in and day out. Don't feel your feelings, right? Which is very unhelpful and I think quite dangerous because we are humans. Yes, we're souls, but we're also humans and we're having a human experience and we are not always happy. But the good news is we don't have to always be happy in order to attract and receive money. I've witnessed it firsthand in my own business, in my own life. It's more about what you believe you are worthy of and what you are open to and what you're surrendered to. So you can be in bed with hormonal depression, but if you believe that you are worthy of and you are open to being supported financially by the universe in larger amounts than you thought possible, you can still attract and receive that. I definitely did. And so it becomes less about the vibe, more about the intention, more about the belief, more about what you know to be true for yourself. Another example of situations in which some of us we unconsciously think, or maybe consciously we think, oh, we're blocking money because of this, that I've seen to not be true, is this energy of desperation to attract money. I think we've all been there. We've all had moments where maybe we were struggling in our business and we just really needed the money to come. And maybe we believed because we needed it, because we felt desperate for it, that desperation energy or that needy energy is actually blocking it. And it could be if you believe that to be true, but at the same time, I was working with a peer in a certification when this came up, and I asked her, well, have you ever attracted and received money when you felt desperate for money before? And for some of us, that's how we live our lives. Not that we want to, but just think about it for a moment right now. Have you ever attracted and received money when you really needed the money and you felt desperate for it? I mean, you always did, right? Somehow, some way, you always did because you're listening to this podcast, right? So desperation energy doesn't block the money either. And as soon as she was able to shift that belief and to know to be true for herself that she could attract money when she felt desperate for it, I'm not joking you, within 24 hours, she was booked out in her coaching program. From that one mental shift, the universe was like, yay, you're open to receive now. Let's shower you with money and clients. Right? So if it's not about the positive vibes, if it's not about the desperation energy, what is it about? And how do you start to really get clear, really get conscious and intentional about what you're doing to consciously attract money and clients and to consciously receive them? It all starts with alignment. You can't trick the source, right? we When we become more aware and we become more conscious, and when we become, relatively good with manifestation, sometimes we get into this place where we are so aware and we know so much what needs to shift, and we're so good at, releasing the sales or the money blocks within ourselves that we can actually shift out of alignment into this place of like fixing ourselves instead of staying in that alignment and trusting the divine timing of things, which is a lot different, right? So, what is alignment? What is alignment? You hear it a lot. We talk about it a lot. But can we actually like define it? I don't think it can really be, for me, I don't think it can really be defined with words, with language, right? I think alignment is a felt sense. I think alignment is an energetic state. It's something you feel, it's something you be. It's something you notice when it's not there if you're really attuned and really aware. But I don't know if I personally can explain it with words. So if you've never experienced the feeling of being in alignment, that's something to start playing with, because there's so much power in knowing where you stand, where you're at, and being awake to it. Because let me tell you, there have been times where I have tried to sell an offer that was like my best selling offer, in 2020. And then I tried to sell it in 2021. But because I had changed and evolved so much as a practitioner, it was no longer in alignment to sell that particular type of offer. But at first, I tried to keep going with it. I tried new strategies. I tried to shift my own energy. But if I had just started with the alignment piece, if I had just honored that piece, because I did feel it coming up, but I was like, no, I can fix this. I can steer this train toward the money, right? I was definitely in my overachiever pattern, right? But if I had just started with the alignment piece, I could have saved myself so much time and energy. And I would have attracted the money, received the money, attracted the clients, received the clients so much faster if I just honored my alignment. And so I want you to think, if you don't have this felt sense of your alignment, if you don't really understand what I'm talking about, you've never really experienced it, and it's kind of like esoteric and conceptual for you right now, I want you to think back to a situation in your life or business where things just went wrong and you had a knowing before or during that things were going to go wrong, and you still went through with it knowing, having that deep knowing that things were going to go wrong, or that you wouldn't be able to fix it. You wouldn't be able to carry it through to the finish line. There was like this felt sense. There's no other way to describe it. This felt sense or this intuition that you were on the wrong path, that you ignored, and you just kept going, trying to fix something that was broken to begin with. Have you experienced that before? That is the felt sense of being out of alignment. And it's very intuitive, it's very experiential. There's only so much I can say to help you discover this. So this is something that I really invite you to explore in yourself. If you feel like you haven't accessed this within yourself, can you start to pay more attention to the very subtle signals that your body, your energy system are giving you about decisions, about the path you're on, about whatever it is you're selling? Because if it's out of alignment, there is nothing I can tell you to fix it, because you are just selling the wrong thing, or you're asking for something that you are not really in a place to ask for. Not that you are not worthy of it. You're worthy of everything that you can imagine. But sometimes we ask for something that we're not quite ready for, or we ask for something that takes us off of our path. And so we really have to pay attention to the alignment piece before we think about any snazzy tricks and tips to attract and receive money. Doesn't matter what you do, if it's out of alignment, it's not going to manifest. If it's in alignment, however, that's where magic starts to happen. That's where things click into place. That's where we have a felt sense of, I am so lit up by this. I know this is going to be huge. I'm so excited by it. It feels good in my body to work on this, to create this, to share this with my audience, those are signals that you are in alignment. And here's something that I have been playing with a lot more. And full on disclaimer, I'm going to bring a human design expert on the show at some point, but I am not a human design expert. So I know enough to be dangerous for myself and my own energy type, but I do not claim to be an expert. But I am a manifesting generator. So if you know your human design type, and you can Google this if you don't know what I'm talking about, but if you know your human design type, and if you are a manifesting generator, and depending on what your authority is, your strategy, if you're an emotional authority, if you're more of a sacral authority, depending on what your chart looks like, I know for me, sometimes I have to be in something to know that I am out of alignment. So it's not always possible for my energy type to know up front, oh, this is going to be the thing. Sometimes I get into it and then my body is like, actually, no, this is not in alignment for us. This is not what we want. And so if you know your human design, if you know anything about your chart, that's something to be aware of as well. Like, you can get stuck in inaction or in like a freeze response if you try to figure out if something is in alignment ahead of time. So whether or not you know your human design type, it may be good to just take messy action and adjust from there. Because I know for me, there have been so many times where I was so sure something was going to be amazing. And then once I got in it, my body was like, actually, we don't like this anymore. And so permission to pivot, permission to let go, permission to cancel a launch, permission to, change your niche or change what you're doing whenever the alignment speaks to you, right? And we can't force it. We can tune into it, but we're not always going to know ahead of time. Alignment is something that we also go really deep on in my marketing and sales and manifestation program, Divine Feminine Sales. So if you're really intrigued by this, go to trydivine.com and you'll get the first module. And you can try out Divine Feminine Sales and see if it may be a good fit for you and your business. It's only $55 to try the first module. And then if you're totally sold, you're like, yes, I love this, you can join us in the full program. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking for more support on this alignment piece. But the next part about attracting and receiving money, it really does come down to how you feel, to your beingness. And I have a couple things that you can check in on if you're in a place now where you're in alignment, you are doing what you love, you're following your heart, it feels good in your body, but if the money is not showing up yet, or if the clients are not showing up yet, there's a couple things you can check in on. The first is, are you taking aligned action? Because there's a myth that we can just eat bonbons and sit on a couch and be in our divine feminine energy and the money will show up. We can do that sometimes, but there still has to be that divine masculine, that action taking, that structure in our businesses or held by our team, right? I'm not even necessarily saying like you have to be the one to be taking action, but someone needs to be taking action in your business, even if you're focused on working on your energy. So are you taking aligned action is such a big thing to check in on first, just making sure you're not in that wounded feminine space where you're like waiting to be rescued. And actually, by the way, I'm going to be talking more about masculine and feminine energies in the next episode, so get excited for that. And then if you are taking action, check in with how much you're doing. Are you doing so much that you're in this place of hustle where you feel like you're overgiving or you're burning yourself out? You're not prioritizing self-care. You're not doing anything outside of your business. Or you're attached to your phone. You're checking your stats all the time. You're really in the weeds in your business, doing things day in and day out, every hour. Are you doing too much? Do you need to step back and be? Because we're talking about attracting and receiving money. You can't receive if you're constantly doing things, giving things, hustling for your worthiness, right? Part of receiving energy is knowing that you are worthy of receiving now, being open to it, and trusting so deeply that you can receive and that you will receive, that you don't force yourself to work past the point of what needs to get done from an aligned place. You allow yourself to have fun. You allow yourself to go out to dinner or to watch a movie or to read a book that has nothing to do with business. So if you're doing too much, check in on that and see if there's room for you to open up and just be. And again, it's about the intention behind it. So are you reading a novel to check the box to say you did so that you can receive? Or are you reading the novel, immersing yourself in the experience and deriving so much pleasure out of it that you kind of forget that you're trying to attract and receive money and then it shows up for you anyway? There's a big difference. And again, it also depends on your relationship with money. So if some of this feels like it's not accessible to you, listen to the previous episode on money trauma and money stories. Or, reach out to me on Instagram and we can talk about how I can support you in moving through this in one of my programs. As a listener of the Soul Expansion podcast, you know how impactful our unconscious or subconscious thoughts can be, especially when it comes to attracting, receiving, keeping, having, and holding money. And one of the best ways to start to reprogram your unconscious mind is through the power of clinical hypnotherapy. And as a special treat to podcast listeners, I have a free money mindset hypnosis just for you, which is going to allow you to let go of beliefs that are currently holding you back when it comes to attracting money. Hypnosis, by the way, is not mind control. It's not voodoo, scary magic. It's really just allowing you to go into a light trance where you're super relaxed and your unconscious mind is open to receive suggestions. So you can rest assured when you listen to the money mindset hypnosis, you are safe, you are protected, you are loved, and your subconscious mind is so powerful that if there is a suggestion that for some reason doesn't align with your values, it'll automatically reject it. So you're not being controlled by the mind. You're only allowing yourself to receive new beliefs at the subconscious level that are supportive for your money goals. So if you want to get your hands on the money mindset hypnosis, go to mymoneyhypnosis.com. Again, it's completely free. You just enter your email address and you get an instant download and you can start reprogramming your unconscious mind for all the monies starting today. So again, it's mymoneyhypnosis.com and I hope you love it. So if you are in alignment and you are giving yourself time to be, time to receive, be in your receiving energy, the other thing to check in on is, what is your energy around selling? And this will clue you into if you're in alignment or not. Like, are you lit the fuck up to sell your offers? Are you so freaking excited to sell whatever it is you're selling? Or are you feeling tired or burnt out, uninspired, or attached to the outcome? These feelings, these negative feelings, are clues that maybe something needs to shift. And I can't necessarily tell you what needs to shift. That's a process of exploration. But you want to be in this place of excitement to sell your offers. You want to be in this place of joy and possibility and pleasure. And when we think about being attractive, like, take money out of it for a moment, take ideal clients out of it for a minute, and just think about, like, what makes me feel attractive as like a human being who has sensual sexual urges? What makes me feel attractive? What makes me feel irresistible? What makes me feel powerful? What makes me feel magnetic? And a lot of it is being in pleasure, right? A lot of it is feeling good about yourself. We feel attractive when we feel so good about ourselves and so lit up by what we're doing. I think we've all experienced a moment, and if you haven't, I encourage you to pay attention and see if you can experience this. But I think we've all experienced a moment where it was like a switch flipped and we just felt so powerful, so sexy, so magnetic with our partners. And whether that's during the actual act of sex or outside of that act, but there's a moment, there's a feeling that comes online when you feel attractive. It's an energy, right? Being attractive means feeling attractive. And so if we circle back and take this back to business and clients and money, do you feel attractive to those things? Like, do you feel as if you are this irresistible force that draws in money, clients, opportunities, and fulfillment? That draws it in like a magnet. And if not, there's some things to explore with that. Do you feel worthy of being attractive, right? So many of us, when we get in the online space, we have a lot of imposter syndrome. And so that energy conflicts with the energy of feeling attractive, right? Like if you feel unworthy in some way, if you feel like an imposter, if you feel like other people are better than you, then you're not in that state where you feel irresistible. And so doing a lot of work on the worthiness piece is so powerful when it comes to attracting clients, because as soon as you feel worthy of being chased and you show up with that energy on and off social media, because you don't even have to show up on social media with this energy, although it definitely helps, you will notice that you are being chased. And it's an energy, it's a state of being, it's feeling so worthy and so open to attracting people, to being in your power, to being someone that other people want to chase. Like, think of the energy of the person who is always booked out, never has to cold DM anyone, never worries about her offers not selling out, like just consistently sells her offers out just by being herself and just by talking about her program and just by connecting with her community. What is the energy of that bitch? Right? And what can be helpful here is when you're first starting out, when you're first getting into the state of being, when you're first practicing being someone who is attractive to your soulmate clients, it can be so helpful to either use the sex analogy and make yourself feel sexy, whether that's by, wearing a certain outfit or doing your makeup instead of just being barefaced, or putting on high heels when you go live, like whatever it is that makes you feel sexy and puts you into that state can be helpful. And then the other piece that can be helpful is having a muse. And I like to look outside of the business world. So thinking of like Beyonce or Rihanna or someone who you really look up to and that you love to experience their energy, and someone who is very attractive and like you can feel it, right? There's like a felt sense with people who are in their divine feminine energy where you're just drawn to them, and it's almost unconscious because it is, right? It's being communicated on the energetic channels. So how can you start to shift into that state of being where you feel attractive, where you feel worthy of being chased, where you feel irresistible, where you are the coach or the healer or the entrepreneur who consistently sells out everything and it's just another Tuesday? right? Obviously, we go way deeper on this in my programs, but that's a place to get you started with when you think about attracting money. And then the other piece is the receiving, right? Because sometimes we can be very good at one piece, like attracting, but we struggle with the other piece, like receiving or keeping, having, and holding money, right? Stacking money, building money up in our savings accounts. So there's layers, there's phases to money mindset work. It's not a one and done, and it's not even just focusing on one aspect of it. It's focusing on all of it piece by piece. And so receiving can feel really difficult if you have been a people pleaser, if you've been an overachiever, if you've been someone who has been taught to work hard for your money, or if when you did receive as a child, in some way, shape, or form, you got made to feel guilty or you got punished for it. Or maybe you were told that you couldn't receive, that it wasn't good for you to receive for some reason. And I've talked to a lot of clients about receiving energy and receiving. And for some of us, it was very subtle and, maybe it didn't have a large impact on us. An example is a client who, when she received a gift as a child, her parents would, like, as soon as like her fingertips touched the package, her parents would prompt her to say thank you. And she couldn't even fully receive the gift and like hold it for a moment and experience the joy and the gratitude herself. She immediately had to say thank you. So it could be that simple and subtle. If that's been programmed into your unconscious mind, if that has been your experience, that can interfere with your ability to feel open to receive. But this can also show up where if you've been in this place where you feel like you got to do it all yourself or you got to hustle to make it happen. And so, something I'd like to invite you to consider is, how would it feel if you didn't have to hustle to make it happen, but if you knew it was all taken care of and it was all coming to you? Being a good receiver is having deep trust and surrender. And again, it's also feeling worthy of it. So when you receive a compliment, do you fully receive it? Like, do you let it hit your system? And do you feel the feelings of love and gratitude that come up from that compliment? Or do you deflect it and say, oh, this dress, I got it on sale. This old thing, I've had it for years. Start there. Start with fully receiving a compliment. If someone says, I love your dress, say thank you. I appreciate you. And allow yourself to receive that. Or if you notice that your partner or maybe a friend likes to do these nice things for you, but if you're so like caught up in the business, like let's say your partner makes a really yummy dinner and he wants you to come sit down at the table, and he did it from love and from a desire to give to you or she, and you're like, no, 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 I got to finish this thing. Thanks, but I got to do this. Right? Like, you just rejected his gift. You just rejected something that the universe and your partner were presenting to you for you to receive. And so, how can you start to let yourself be supported by others in small ways and big ways? How can you start to let yourself be open to the universe showering you with gifts? And a really great way to start to practice and embody receiving energy is simply noticing when you are receiving and creating additional opportunities for yourself to receive. You can take yourself on a date, right? Like, you can set yourself up with a beautiful goddess day where your only intention is to receive. Getting a massage, getting a manicure or pedicure, maybe going to a workout class, maybe that feels like a gift to you, or maybe not. Sleeping in on a Saturday, not working weekends on the business, getting a latte, even though like there's that part in your brain that's like, this is $5. I should just get the regular coffee for $3. Nah, nah, nah. No, start thinking like a wealthy woman who receives. Receive that $5 latte and know that the money is coming back to you. And that's the other important piece of it. We've talked about attracting, we've talked about receiving. But what is your overall attitude with money? Are you in the place where you know that money is an energy that flows, that is always coming back to you? Or are you still in the place where it feels really scarce and it feels like, if I spend the $5 on this latte, then I'm going to have less money for this other thing? Or I should get the $3 coffee because it's cheaper, even though my heart and soul really wants the $5 latte. Right? Like, how often do you reject your own needs, wants, and desires because of your own scarcity beliefs about money? And I'm not saying go out and buy a Ferrari if that's not in your ability to afford right now. Like, put that on a vision board. You'll get there soon. But I am saying, are you comparing the different apples and buying the cheapest one instead of buying the one that you really love, right? Like, are you doing all of these activities to try to save money from this place of fear, scarcity, lack? And can you start to approach money as a infinite, limitless resource that will always flow to you when you're in alignment? And can you start living like a rich, wealthy boss woman or man, or however you identify, right? Wealth is an inner game. Attracting and receiving money is an inner game. It has to be felt on the inside first before it radiates out. You have to start acting, being, feeling like a rich boss woman first. You have to start feeling, being, experiencing what it's like to feel attractive, to be magnetic. You have to start being, feeling, experiencing what it's like to be open to receive, to allow yourself to be showered with gifts from the universe. You have to start with that on the inside first before it's going to radiate out. So start now, right? Start practicing. Start experiencing it. Make a game plan. You'll get better and better and better at it over time, of course. But for some of you, this may feel like a huge undertaking. Maybe you've been people pleasing and letting yourself be treated like a doormat for so long with no boundaries and just saying yes to everything and trying not to rock the boat and not getting your needs met because you're trying to help serve the needs of others first. Like, if you've been there for a long, long time, it's going to take some time for you to slowly ease yourself into what it's like to feel like a rich, embodied, confident, boundaried, wealthy, joyful, sexy, attractive, open to receiving woman or man or whatever you identify with, right? Like, it's going to take some time. So be gentle with yourself, honor yourself, but make a game plan now to start practicing it. All right, that's all I have for you today. We have some free resources for you. We have a free money mindset hypnosis, which you may want to try out, mymoneyhypnosis.com. And then there's also my program. So if you've been loving this podcast, what we've been talking about with attracting and receiving money and clients, getting into that attraction energy, getting into that receiving energy, my program, Divine Feminine Sales,
goes way more in depth on that. And you can try module 1 for $55 at trydivine.com. In the next episode, I'm going deeper on masculine and feminine energies. So if you have been loving this talk of being in your divine feminine, open to receive, magnetically attractive, energetic self, you're going to love the next episode. So hit that subscribe button and I will see you there. Thank you for honoring your soul's calling today and taking the time to listen to this episode of the Soul Expansion Podcast. If you have a question you'd like featured or have a topic idea, I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski and send me a DM with your request. Remember, you are a truly limitless being. The limits you see now are only an illusion. Whatever it is that you desire, that's already yours. It already exists in the universe here and now. You simply have to awaken to what you already have. And I hope this episode brought you a little closer to that truth. If you love this episode and would like to give from your heart and appreciation, please take a few moments to screenshot it and tag me in your stories on Instagram, or write a brief review on your favorite podcast platform. Your voice truly matters, and your feedback helps to spread abundant expansion to a broader audience. And what a gift that is, right? Just think about how much abundance will come back to you if you help a friend experience their own soul expansion. And with that, I just want to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I'm Kristen Kaczynski, and I love you.